Well, that looks good. So people are tuning in and seeing us staring.
They are. They see you staring. And now we are live on YouTube because it's time for What in the World with
me, Paul Seaburn. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Thank you for joining us at What in the World. It's Tuesday afternoon, 3:30 p.m., except on John's clock, where he's in Bizarro, some other country where it's 1:45 or who knows.
It's my time. It's my time.
We let him. It's on
okay, John.
Up time. That's what.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so thank you for visiting us at What in the World. If you're here on YouTube, you're watching us. Thank you for doing that live. Or in the future, whatever platform you're on, thank you for visiting us. We're here every week, except for next week. We'll mention that once here now and once before we go. Next week is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., so we are taking a much-deserved break, I would say.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So you come to What in the World because you're tired of the normal media news, the bad news, the political news, business, all that other nonsense. And you come here for weird, strange, fun news. That's what we do for an hour every week. Our motto is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. And that's what we try to hit you with once a week. If you don't like a story, stick around because in a minute I'll have another one. And by we, there you go. That's right. By we, I'm talking about Karen Hale, our producer, co-host, and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Go there to newclevelandradio.net, click on my name. You find all the places you can go to download What in the World for free. For free. You can't beat this deal. And we throw in at no extra charge What in the World of Sports with my old buddy John DiNallo. Hey, John.
Hey, everybody.
John's here. John knows what time it is because he knows it's 3:30 and we're on the air. So
that's right.
Pay no attention to me when I pick on John for his clock. But anyway, so I've got, as always, as much as I can't believe it sometimes, every week just gets stranger and weirder and more wild, and this week is no exception. So let's just get right to it. Let me give you a hint. John, I know you're going to be interested in this. We had a Bigfoot sighting very close to us in Minerva, Ohio.
Wow.
In fact, a friend of mine saw it. We have killer possums in New Zealand. Always, we always have weird animals. Oh, a four-eared cat in Turkey. This is a cool picture for those of you who are if you're not watching us on YouTube, sometime later, go check us out on YouTube so you can see this picture. Karen, this is for you. Women's clothing made out of trees. So you can save a bundle.
Why for me? I don't like trees. Oh,
no, but you're a woman.
Oh, I am. You're right.
There you go. Let's see. What else do we have? A company that launches satellites with a catapult. This is, I have it on video, so we can take a look at it. We have from Russia, a boy who claims he came from Mars. I have a picture of him. And then, you know how I love to talk about weird food. So, John, this is for you. Cake in a can from Japan. So
cake in a can.
Cake in a can. Yeah. You can take it in the car with you. You can eat it on the back porch. This is just the thing. And some world records. More strange news, trivia. We always have trivia. You'll know when you hear the horn that there's some weird trivia or a strange pun. John's got possibly the weirdest sport we have talked about yet.
Oh, it's right in there. This one is in there.
Photos and videos, again, for those of you that are watching us on YouTube. Those that aren't, please check it out. And then, of course, at the end, we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So be ready for that, and let's get right to it with some food stories. I always love to talk about food stories. This one's for you, John, and also it's got a little local flavor to it. So I've mentioned before that John is half Italian.
That's
on your mom's side, right?
No, my dad.
No, on your dad's side. I should know by the name.
Yeah.
So John, did you and your dad ever have Italian sushi?
Italian sushi?
That's what
No,
I said. Italian sushi.
no, not that I know of.
Well, guess what? I found some for you. This comes from the Atlantic Ocean, and Italy's not even on the Atlantic Ocean, but it doesn't matter. That's what this stuff is called, Italian sushi. I'm going to put a picture of it up for you so you can take a look at it and kind of salivate over it while I talk about it. So this
Whoa.
is, yeah, it's a 5-pointed Plinthester dentatus, which is a starfish in the Atlantic Ocean, but it's puffy. You can see. So it's called Italian sushi, or the ravioli starfish. That's what it's called, the ravioli starfish. It looks like ravioli and it looks like a starfish, so they call it the ravioli starfish. I thought it was pretty interesting. I showed it to a friend of mine who's Polish, and he said, "Oh, we have those in Poland. That's called a pierogi because it grows under a pier." I found out I have to explain that to some people. A pierogi.
Yeah. Got
puffy
it.
Puffy little thing. It does look like a pierogi, which is a Polish dumpling. So anyway, so I didn't have anything else to say about the starfish, but I do have a lot to say about pierogies. We haven't talked about pierogies a lot in terms of explanation on the show. We make references to it. The pierogi, of course, is a Polish dumpling. Comes from the Slavic word that means feast. So, it's a big dumpling filled with potatoes or meat or cheese or fruit. So I guess you could call it a feast, especially when you have a half a dozen or so. Originated in Eastern Europe, which is why it's big with the Slavic cultures and the Poles and the Czechs and all those. But the origin, John and Karen, is a myth. It's a mythological story, comes from Poland. So, and I really like that. The first pierogi dates back to 1238. And of course, it's a Catholic thing. A guy by the name of Hyacinth, who eventually became Saint Hyacinth, is in Poland, and he's going around blessing people. And he goes to this city of Koselleck. I'm not sure where that's at. Somewhere in Poland. It's a big country. You find it. So he goes to visit the people of Koselleck, and they tell him, "Oh my God, Hyacinth, the storm destroyed our crops." So he goes out and he tells everybody to pray, and they all back. So he says, as a sign of gratitude, because it happened so fast, they picked it. It must have been wheat or something like that. And they made it into these dumplings, and they gave it to Hyacinth, and who eventually became a saint. And he spread it around. He took them with him all around Poland, and they became the pierogis, and Saint Hyacinth became the patron saint of pierogis. So there you go. There's the myth of the birth of the pierogi. And what do you wash pierogis down with in Poland? You wash it down with vodka. And that's my segue into the next story. Speaking of vodka, and this comes to us from the United States. This is from put a picture of it up here. Arby's, of all places. This comes from Minnesota. Yeah. Arby's has teamed up with a distillery in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, to make Arby's vodka, chicken, curly fry flavored, and crinkle fry. Boy, there's a tongue twister for you. Crinkle fry flavored vodka. Just
you wouldn't think this would normally be around, but it is, obviously.
No, you're right, John. This basically this proves that you can make vodka out of anything. Although the traditional vodka in Poland is made out of potatoes, but certainly not French fried potatoes. So I'm already figuring out drinks that you can make with this. I think if you pour a shot and then you take an Arby's ketchup packet and you dump it in there, you make an Arby's
Bloody Mary.
Yeah. I think we used to drink those in college.
We drank a lot of things, Paul. I don't know.
So Arby's new commercial, of course, before it was, we have the meats, now it's we have the shots. Because what else are you going to do while you're sitting there eating your roast beef sandwich? Although before anybody runs up to Minneapolis, or runs into Arby's and saying, "Hey, we heard on What in the World that you have vodka made from curly fry. We want some." You can't get it at an Arby's restaurant. You have to go to Minneapolis to a liquor store over there. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody.
Well, maybe it becomes popular there, Paul, and then it'll make it to the Midwest. And
it just came out. Yeah. I'm sure they're probably sold out already, John. You know how these things go. It's like the McRib. It comes out and it's sold out. The Arby's vodka, it comes out, it's sold out. So if it's popular, they're going to sell it all over the country.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And McDonald's ought to try this. Maybe have McAle.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be a good idea? I even have I have the first two lines of the commercial for the McAle. 2 all beer patties, get sauced.
Oh, pretty darn good.
Right,
McDonald's, call me. And for a fee, I'll give you the rest of it.
Okay.
Very good.
So anyway, so there you go. So now we've had our pierogies, we've had our vodka. So now we need some dessert. And that brings us to the cake in a can. And I know John's been waiting for this. So here's a picture of these cans. Now those are not clear cans. What they do is they paint on the outside of the can what the inside is supposed to look like. Of course, it doesn't look like that. These are very pretty cans from Kyoto, Japan. And on the outside, there's layers, and it looks like some cream and some strawberries and some cream puffy kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's bakery in Kyoto. It's the Rakashana, right? That sounds Jewish, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Happy New Year.
The Rakansha Bakery at the train station in Kyoto was selling all kinds of cream puffs to their customers. They were very famous for the cream puff, but customers were coming back and complaining because after eating a cream puff on a train, they had cream all over their face and they had crumbs all over their shirt or their blouse, right? So they needed something that was neater. And someone in the bakery came up with the idea of, well, let's put a cream puff in a can, and they can open it on the train and eat it with a spoon. And believe it or not, it worked. And it's a very popular, successful thing that hopefully they spread all around the world, because I love it.
Oh, yeah.
So they have Charlie Sheen, by the way, was in Kyoto. This is how I found out. So because Charlie and I, we go back a long way. So he calls me up and he says, I got these cans of cake on the train in Kyoto. He says, I got the one that was labeled Little Debbie, but I opened it up and Little Debbie didn't jump out of the cake. I'm disappointed. I want my money back. I know. So the flavors, cream puff is one of the flavors. Some of them have pudding in them. One of them, this is kind of strange. It's a combination, a layer of sweet red bean paste. Doesn't sound too appetizing, but cream cheese and a rice cake. So it's kind of creamy and chewy and crunchy all at once.
I'll pass.
Oh, Karen, you'd probably like it. It's sweet. So
anyway. My name is not Mikey. I will not like it.
I'm going to guess, knowing your husband, that you're not the one who tries the weird things at a restaurant. It's Rich who does the.
No, neither one of us.
Really? I find that fascinating, and unexpected. So anyway, so I don't know if this will catch on in the United States, because A, they're small. B, where do you put the candle if you get this for your birthday, right?
Right.
And C, they're too small. Our cakes are massive. Even for a regular birthday, we have these massive cakes. This cake in a can in the United States would be like a canned ham at the very minimum. And of course, people would buy it and they'd eat it themselves. we'd see people like John, for example, just to use John as an example, sitting in the front seat at the stoplight with his ham-sized can of cake, just shoveling it down until the light changes, and then of course he'd stop and so John doesn't want to get into a ticket for eating canned cake in his car, and we're going to move on at that point.
Well, it's really kind of more for a slice. I mean, it's kind of more comparable as a slice of cake, right? It's not the whole cake. I mean,
no, it's not the whole cake. You're right. Yeah, we would want the whole cake.
Serving, right? Yeah.
It's if you're on a diet. There you go. You want it like those little things of yogurt. It used to be. We've gone off the track here, but I bought some yogurt the other day, a different brand than I normally buy, in those little containers, because I didn't want to. If I buy it in a big container, I eat too much. So I bought one in a little container, and then I saw a new flavor. So I tried the new flavor, and I opened it up, and there's almost twice as much yogurt in this container as in the one I normally eat. So of course I got to eat it, because once you tear off the paper wrapper, you can't cover it up again.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't have a point here. I'll get off my soapbox at this point. But the one last thing on this, and that is that, of course, these things look like they have a lot of calories. So if you down a bunch of these, you want to talk to the next lady, and story that I have, and her name is Julia Hurricane Hawkins. Now, you may have seen this story on the news this week. Julia is 105 years old, and she's competing in an athletic tournament in Louisiana. 105 years old, John. This is for you. Wow. She ran the 100-yard dash in just over 1 minute, 62 seconds. 105 years old. It's amazing. Of course, she won the race because she's the only one in it. So they come up to her afterwards. God bless her. They come up to her afterwards, and they said, "How do you feel?" Like they always say, "How do you feel after running 100 meters in 100 yards in 62 seconds?" She said, "Terrible. I was going for under a minute." So this lady, she's been doing this for years. You know how she trains, John? She chases kids off her front lawn. "Hey, you kids!" She doesn't just yell out the window. She runs after them. That's how she trains. She's in Louisiana. They call her Hurricane. They should call her Hot Sauce, because, you can just imagine how fast and feisty she must be. So in 2017, she got into. She set another record. She was 100 at the time. And she was under 104. She was in the previous age group, and at that time she did 100 meters in just under 40 seconds, 39.62 seconds. That's pretty fast for 104 years old.
Well, of course.
She started when she was 80. She started competing in the National Senior Games at the age of 80 as a cyclist. So she's riding these on the curved track. And won several gold medals in cycling before she switched to sprinting, because she ran out of people to race against in cycling. So she moves over to sprinting. Now she has nobody to run against, because she's the oldest one in the tournament.
Right.
Wow. So makes a little money on the side. She sells her gold medals at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to take this picture down for a minute. I want to talk about my buddy in Wadsworth, Ohio. Seth Breedlove is his name, and Seth is I think I've mentioned him on the show before. He is a documentary filmmaker. His company is called Small Town Monsters, and what he does is he goes to little towns all around the United States with his camera crew, this small crew, and he talks to people about whatever the resident monster is there. So if he went to Cleveland, for example, he might talk to some of us about Bessie, the Lake Erie monster would be an example. If he went to Loch Ness, he would talk to people about the Loch Ness monster. So he's gone. I just reviewed one of his last movie, and he went to Washington State and found nest that Bigfoot sleeps in, allegedly, of course. And if you Google small town monsters, you can get a link to that particular movie. So he's back in Wadsworth, and which is just, less than 50 miles from where we're sitting right here in beautiful Northeast Ohio. Beautiful weather today, by the way. And so Seth goes to visit a friend of his in Minerva, which is about 50 miles east of Wadsworth. Beautiful areas, nice wooded areas. So he's out in the woods and driving a Jeep. And he says, all I know is we're driving, and then bam, there's this huge brown two-legged figure running. When I say huge, I mean musculature in like the biceps. So this thing is running at an upright gait with dark brown fur at a dead sprint, like an Olympic runner, like Hurricane over there. And then it cleared that space in an eighth of a second. So I'm thinking, this is great. This is my old buddy Seth. He's got pictures of everything. He must have whipped out his camera and gotten the best video of Bigfoot ever. And John, what do you think he got?
He got nothing because he didn't have film in his camera.
Close, even worse. He didn't have his camera. He's a documentary filmmaker. He didn't have his camera.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he was visiting somebody or what. You would think he didn't have his camera. But he said he was convinced, based on his vast experience, and he has investigated many Bigfoot sightings. He was convinced that he saw Bigfoot, which is not far from here, and it is a heavily wooded area. And he says that that's one of the reasons why he's convinced that it was a Bigfoot, because it's a heavily wooded area. And we talked about the fact, there's woods from Michigan down into the middle of Ohio and across through where we're at, the Cuyahoga Valley National Forest, National Park, all the way to Pennsylvania. So there's a path where Bigfoot could certainly follow.
Hey, wait a minute. Let me interject on something, okay?
Sure, please do.
He didn't have his phone with him? He didn't even
have. That's another going. Yeah,
he has no camera.
Thank you for pointing that out, John.
He has no phone, or was he by himself, or was he with other people?
No, he was with two other people. They didn't have anything either.
Somebody had to have a phone.
Karen, it.
I'm sorry to say, Paul, it really sounds like a tall tale.
I need to contact him and do a follow-up on that story, because anyway. So if you really, in fact, if you want to learn more about what he did, he's on YouTube. It's called the Bigfoot Project. So Google the Bigfoot Project, and that the video will come out straight from horse's Bigfoot producer's mouth. So anyway, so in Ohio we run away from Bigfoot. In New Zealand they run away from possums. This story comes from, and I'm not going to put a possum picture up here, because at least in Northeast Ohio, we know what a possum looks like, or at least we know what a dead possum looks like, because that's normal.
It is roadkill, absolutely.
There you go. That's right. So keep that thought in mind, John. Okay. So that shouldn't be too hard, right? So this woman in New Zealand calls the police to rescue her, because she says she's cornered she's being held hostage in her house by a possum. So the police come, and the police officer is not allowed in the house. She doesn't want to open the door because she's afraid of the possum. So he's talking to her on her phone, and all of a sudden something is attacking him on his leg, and it's the possum. Comes out of the wood. The possum is attacking the cop. So you can tell this is New Zealand. He doesn't pull out his gun. He pulls out his flashlight. And instead of whacking the possum on the head, which is, I think, what most of us would do, he shines the light in its eyes. And the possum does what possums do. It plays possum. And as a result, he's able to walk over and get a box and put it over it and call up the game warden, who comes and takes it away and releases it somewhere far away so it doesn't find its way back. My question is, what about all of its friends in the woods that are playing possum because they heard there was a cop there picking up possum? Yeah. So this is the kind of problem they have in New Zealand. Who wouldn't want to live in a country where the biggest worry that you have is possums holding you
That would be
hostage.
an improvement. That would be an improvement in a lot of ways to the U.S.
You better believe it, John. So we've talked about possums on the show. I don't remember why. Probably I went off on a tangent, but possums are not native to New Zealand. And I say this all the time. You learn all kinds of things on What in the World, not just stories about Bigfoot, but real, science stories. The possum is a marsupial, like a kangaroo, only doesn't hop. And it's not native to New Zealand. These possum were brought to New Zealand from Australia by fur hunters who wanted to release them and raise them and start a trapping and fur hunting business. Not only that, they're not native to Australia. They're actually native to North America. So somebody had that same idea before that and took them to Australia. So now they're an invasive species all over the place. People used to eat, is the way I asked John to remember, roadkill. People used to eat possum. Possum was a very popular dish in the United States, Karen. Yes, I know. You can't imagine it. And not just roadkill possum, but they would go out and hunt them. People actually raised possum for meat. The first Thanksgiving, I would bet they had, and I wrote down the dish here because it's a popular dish in the South, possum and taters, which is possum and sweet potatoes. Just like Mom used to make.
Your friend Linda says possums are great.
Oh, I find it, and I've known Linda for a long time. I find it hard to believe that Linda has eaten possum. But
okay.
Again, unless it was really covered in an inch of cheese.
Okay.
Deep fried, or both.
I can honestly say I've never had possum. I've never had possum. Or never
But the Beverly Hillbillies ate possum.
Of course.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it possum pie? Wasn't it possum pie?
Something like that. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I don't mean possum pie. That sounds about right. So yes, sweet potatoes and possum is called Possum and Tater. William Howard Taft, former president, was a fan of possum and tater, which if you see pictures of William Howard Taft, he was a fan of just about anything edible.
He was a very big fan.
There you go. He doesn't surprise me. Our friend Linda, text chick, I think I'll have to check with this possum story. President Jimmy Carter not only ate possum, but he hunted for it prior to becoming president. I don't think he went hunting for possum while he was in office. And then you don't just eat them, John. When here's a business for us, for both of us. Possum oil or possum grease is the fat of the possum, which you render. That's what you do with fat. Yeah. And you can use it, get ready for this, as a chest rub. So instead of Vicks Vapor Rub, people
medicinal purposes. Oh my gosh.
There you go. That's right, John. We could make some retirement cash here. Also, to treat arthritis. So you rub it on your chest if you have a chest cold or a cough. You rub it on your hands or your feet or whatever is not working correctly. You see it next time you see a possum, roadkill. And one more thing, and I believe that everything, somewhere in the world, everything is used as an aphrodisiac. In Mexico, the tail of the possum is used as an aphrodisiac. So I don't know if they eat it on a bun or.
Oh no!
You have to research that for us for another show. Let's do some research for that one.
We need to do a cooking show, a roadkill cooking show.
I think I'm about to cut this show right now.
I'm just getting everybody ready for Thanksgiving because
okay.
But when they get to the turkey and the gravy, they'll forget all about possum and taters.
Yeah.
So my thought is, here's how we can get rid of the possums in the United States. We tell the Canadians that they're an aphrodisiac, and man, they'll be down here in a minute. They'll be whacking them with their hockey sticks and running back up there, and and then going at it like those Canadians do.
Yep.
So now I have one more animal story here. I have a couple more animal stories, but I've got a photo of this one. And this is the cutest. Now, this is a cute one for you, Karen.
Okay.
I'm going to put the picture up here. Let's see. I've got the crazy Louisiana running lady here. There we go. Now, this story comes from Turkey. And the picture that I have up here, and you can Google this, you'll find it online.
How many ears does he have?
This is a cat from Turkey with 4 ears.
Oh.
How about that? 4-eared cat. So this family in Turkey goes to the rescue league, local rescue area, and finds this cat. It's a 4-month-old Russian blue kitten that they named Midas, which has nothing to do with the ears. But very visibly, it has 2 very large ears, and in front of it, those big ears, it has 2 smaller ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what they took it to a vet, and the vet said that the big ears in the back work, the smaller ears in the front don't listen at all. So those are the male ears of the 4.
Okay.
So
very good.
but I know it would be. It's too bad. 4 ears might come in handy for a cat. Because you're fast asleep, you're not necessarily you're listening to yourself purr. You may miss somebody opening a can of tuna somewhere. If you had 4 ears, 2 could be listening to yourself purr. The other 2 purr. The other 2 could be listening for food, because that's what cats think about all the time.
Yeah.
Food. At least that's what I've heard. So I thought it's cutest little picture. Doesn't look like it's suffering at all. They checked it out. And although it's a genetic condition, they don't think that it has any other genetic problem. So nice family decided to adopt it and give it a home.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So we have some nice stories here on What in the World. By the way, I forget to mention sometimes. You can see some of these stories at my other job, which is mysteriousuniverse.org, where I am the editor and the head writer. A lot of these stories, the weirder stories or the paranormal stories, like the Bigfoot stuff, I will do in greater depth there, and less humor. If you want to laugh, you come to What in the World. You want to get more information, go to Mysterious Universe. Now, another animal here. This comes from Maine. So what animal do you think of when you think of Maine? Karen, you've been up in the Northeast. You
should. Bears.
Oh, good guess. Thanks for playing. We have a nice parting gift for you. How about you, John? I'll give you a hint. Think of a bun.
I'll
give you another hint. Think of a roll.
A lobster.
Lobster roll. There you go. Karen, you already got your gift. You can't play 2 times.
Okay.
There's a double jeopardy law here.
Lobster's not an animal. It's a fish.
And fish aren't animals? We need to discuss this in another podcast.
Okay.
Are fish animals? And lobster's not a fish either. It's a crustacean.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, so here's a picture of this very pretty
blue lobster. Wow.
Taken a lobster guy was a lobster fisherman was out checking his pots, and he found this beautiful lobster. Now, he refers to that color as cotton candy because it has some pink in it. It's really kind of a pinkish, bluish, very, very pretty animal there. Yeah. The first that he took it to a lobster expert, and they said that's the first they've ever seen of that color. So he gets since he found it, he gets to call it a cotton candy lobster, which is, that's his prize. He wants to give it to somebody, and I said, just if you're going to give it to somebody who doesn't have any butter or who is not a clown, because clowns love cotton candy and people with butter eat lobster. So, but apparently he found a place where it's going to be taken care of and you can go and visit it. So next time you're up in Maine, you can look up the cotton candy lobster. Which, I think we've talked about cotton candy on the show before, but I always, cotton candy is one of my favorite candies to talk about, not necessarily to eat, because I have a beard. And what happens when you eat cotton candy with a beard is you end up with a cotton candy beard. Not a good thing. But it reminded me of going to state fairs and eating cotton candy at state fairs. which reminded me of the origin of cotton candy. And cotton candy actually came from a state fair. But the best part of it is, this came from, it was invented by a dentist. That's right. Cotton candy was invented by a dentist. His name was William Morrison. And he teamed up with a confectioner, someone who makes candy. And they introduced cotton candy, which they called fairy floss, at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. And it was so popular, they sold almost 70,000 boxes at the state fair. Yeah, wow. Wait till you find out how much money they made, Karen. They sold 70,000 boxes at 25 cents a box. In today's currency, 25 cents a box is $7 a box. So they sold 70,000 boxes at $7 a box. That's $500,000.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I tell my dentist this all the time. I go to the dentist and there's a coffee machine in the corner in the waiting room. So I have a cup of coffee and then I go into the hygienist and she proceeds to spend the next 20 minutes taking the stains off my teeth. I said, wait a minute. I figured out the ruse, the scam that's going on here. Why don't you put caramels in have some caramel, big bowl of caramels. They already have sugar for the coffee. So I get stains, I get cavities, have some caramel, pull out a couple of teeth. Man, he could make a fortune. He could make a boat payment just on my visit. So anyways, now this is, I want to watch our time here. This was the most interesting story of the week, in my opinion. And this has to do with catapults. Now, we've talked about the billionaires going into space on What in the World. This is at the other end of the financial scale. There's a small company in, let's see, I think they're in California. Yeah, they're in Long Beach, California. A small company. And they're trying to launch satellites as cheaply as possible. So instead of using a rocket, they're launching them with, get ready for this, a catapult. Not a slingshot, a catapult. Now, when you think of catapult, I think of Monty Python and the catapult, I think it was, from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where they were launching cows over the wall at the French. Or maybe the French were launching cows at them. Or launching pumpkins. It's the time of the year when people use catapults to launch pumpkins, but not space satellites, John. How does a catapult manage to launch something into orbit? Well, these people have figured it out. And I've got a video. This is actually a centrifuge that operates like a catapult. And this is not to scale, but the picture that I'm showing here is a circle with almost looks like a gun pointed straight up. Mm-hmm. It's as tall as the Statue of Liberty. So I think that's like about 300 feet tall. And what happens is they put the rocket or the satellite inside the circular thing, and then they start spinning it around. And they spin it until it's spinning so fast that it can no longer contain it, and it shoots out of the chimney like a ping pong ball and blows it into space. If you don't believe me, here's a video of it. I want to check my notes here. The name of the company is Spin Launch. But there you go. There it is, spinning around. Now they're getting ready, and out comes this little rocket carrying the satellite out of the hole at the top. They even have a little piece of paper on it to add some drama to it. So this is a 20. This is 20% of the size of the real one. So be 5 times as big. That's 1,500 feet tall. It'd be pretty big. And they claim that it can actually launch satellites. This went a couple thousand. This didn't go miles into space yet. So what they were doing in this particular test was not launching satellites yet, but they're getting close. So John, I know you're thinking to yourself, who on earth would invest in something like this? The answer is you'd never guess, the Department of Defense. and that's the U.S. Department of Defense. They apparently contracted with these people, and they already have multiple spin launch satellite catapult on order, so that they can start saving money when they launch satellites into space.
Well, if it's effective and if it's cheaper, then I'm all for it.
I guess, you spend our tax money on something else. To me, this looks like something that they should be building at Cedar Point, not at Cape Canaveral. Cedar Point, by the way, is the big amusement park in the Northeast Ohio area that everyone in Ohio goes to at some time in their lives, usually multiple times. So anyway, I want to mention, I'm going to get completely out of space here and get into clothing, because we talk about every kind of subject that there is on What in the World. So this story came up this week. They were doing some research, and this is back in Turkey again. Turkey was a center of civilization for a long time, and there were Neolithic people living there way back when. So these archaeologists are digging up living quarters of people that lived, ancient cave people in Turkey. Ancient city of Catapult is the name of it. And they found cloth garments that were made out of fiber that came from the trunks of trees. That I can't imagine that, although I can imagine people in that era, men and women, married couples, going into the woods, and the woman picking something out and saying, does this tree make my trunk look fat?
Oh.
So I'm not kidding about this. And people still wear these things. I have a picture of a lady. This is from 1900. And I'm not sure, they didn't say what part of the world this is from. But this lady is wearing a muumuu type. Would you call that a muumuu, Karen?
Yeah. Yep.
Or a house dress of some
house
sort?
dress. Yep.
Yeah. Made from fiber that is made from these trees. It's called from oak trees, the bast fibers inside the trunks of oak trees. So why would they do something like this? And it turns out they had no flax. People were coming from China and saying, "Oh, you got to try this stuff. It's flax. We make our clothes out of it." And the Turks said, "Well, we don't have flax, but we got oak trees. Our women will wear anything." So they make these clothes, and it was not only the Turks, Karen, but if you take a look at this is a picture from a show on New York City in 1900. This was a dress that was actually sold and worn by women in New York to ride bikes, and it's made out of the same fiber, the same oak tree fiber that you saw there.
Wow.
Never knew that.
Yeah, I thought that's unbelievable. So I think, so this is me. So I tried to wear this oak fiber, and this is what I look like.
Yeah, you look good. I like the apples in your hair.
This is actually a picture of the trees from the Wizard of Oz.
Recognize it.
John recognized it. I knew John would get it. There's an apple hanging from there.
Yep.
So anyways, on that note, I don't think that anyone would want to wear that type of clothing to ride bikes, let alone do any kind of athletic event. But we like to talk about athletic events on What in the World. And when we get to this part of the show, I like to turn it over to John DiNallo, who is the host of What in the World of Sports. And I always call him up a couple days before the show, and I say, John, we need another sport for the show. Find something weird, but maybe something that we could compete in, or even something that we could start in the United States if it's from another country, and make some money. We could be the commissioners, or the team owners. So John never listens. John finds these sports that are just the most unbelievable. And if you don't believe me, listen to this next story. You will not believe the sport that he's talking about. And while he's talking about it, I'm going to line up some pictures. I also have some videos. So again, if you're interested in this, please later on take a look on YouTube. You'll see people competing in possibly the weirdest sport we've ever talked about. Take it away, John.
All right. Hey, Paul. Hey, Karen. This is really a very, very weird sport. Let me explain. The name of the sport is bo-kyoshi, which is a Japanese sport, or it's also called pole topping, and it's capture the flag game. It's a capture the flag game. It's played on sports days at schools throughout Japan. And while pole topping,
Capture the flag. That doesn't sound so bad, John.
it's like Stratego, kind of like the board game Stratego. Think of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. This doesn't sound too weird yet.
Well, wait till you hear this. While pole topping sounds easy and perhaps a little boring, botashi is neither. And the game is famous for one specific reason: the size or the number of competitors.
Okay.
Each team fields 150 individuals. 50 people
on the field.
Yes, 75 attackers to knock over the opponent's pole and 75 defenders to protect theirs. So it has a mysterious history. Sports historians think it might be a combination of several recreational games popular in the 1890s, such as pole climbing, capture the flag, and a game involving climbing a rope and grabbing a piece of cloth. It became part of a national sports festival in 1929 and was played in 1945 by the Japanese militia as a way of preparing them for battle. Today,
wow.
Let's stop for a second there and reiterate the key point, John, and that is that this is a field and there are 300 people on the field, 150 on each side, right?
That's correct.
75 on offense, 75 on defense.
That's correct.
Around the pole.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, you got that picture in your head.
Hey, maybe if the Browns had 150 people on their team, we could win.
As long as the other team still had 11, right?
Right.
We're sorry. If any Browns are listening, we apologize. Go ahead, John. I know there's more to this story.
Yes. So today, the game is traditionally played by cadets at the National Defense Academy, or the NDA, on November 1st, which is the anniversary of the school, and is also Self-Defense Forces Day in Japan.
So it's a military school. Okay.
It's a military school, sure. Now, in the game, the defenders begin in a defensive orientation respective to their pole, while the attackers assume position some distance away from the other team's pole. The poles are wooden and stand 11.8 feet high. The players wear little protective gear besides soft helmets, knee pads, and athletic cups. Sprains, cuts, and bloody noses happen regularly, and common injuries include concussions, fractured leg bones, vertebrae, and cheekbones. A match ends.
Minor injuries.
Yes. A match ends when one team's pole has gone from the 90-degree straight up position to 30 degrees above the ground. Now, there are specific rules and player positions.
But we're looking at a video here. I want to mention this for those who can't see it. So the way this the match begins is one group is around a pole and the other group runs at the pole. So one group is guarding the pole, the other group runs across the field, and there's a pole at either end, like goalpost.
Right.
Right.
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah. And so you get the idea. The offense and the defense, they run across. The defense stays by their pole. The offense runs across the field and flings themselves against the people guarding the pole. That's your sport, okay?
Yes, and injuries. Yeah, right.
75 people so it's 150 people fighting for each pole.
Well,
got it? Okay.
Got it. Yep.
So the National Defense Academy, they explain the rules and player positions as follows. According to rules, number one, a match lasts for a total time of 2 minutes. Now, if the team's pole is lowered within the match time, the match remains undecided, and then it's repeated. Punching.
So you straighten the pole and start all over. So
that's right. Punching, kicking, strangling, pulling an opponent's head, and similar dangerous roughness is prohibited.
Okay.
That's
so
a good
no,
thing.
No strangling.
Right.
This still looks pretty violent, especially for the guy on offense who John's going to give us the names of these positions.
Yeah. There's
So,
four
so on
positions.
offense,
Right.
we've
Well,
got Yoko Shimono. What's at the first position, the key position, John?
Well, the key position is right around top on no, excuse me.
Right around that's a person on the top of the pole that they're trying to knock off.
Right.
Who wants to be that guy?
No, I don't know. Then the other positions are circle, pole support, and interference, believe it or not. Now,
So they
defense,
okay. All right.
yeah,
So that's defense.
the defenders align in concentric circles. A first inner ring of 3 defenders holds the pole. Another 3 defenders hold the base of the pole. A third layer of 8 defenders crouch with their backs to the inner ring of teammates and lock arms. And then the remaining defenders form a wider ring to repel the attackers or pull down the attackers who reach the pole.
So it's a pretty simple game.
It is pretty simple. Now, on the offense,
Okay.
we have attackers, we have scrum, and then the third position is chargers. Now, attacks are led by scrum players who lay their bodies down for pole attackers to try to run and spring off of towards the opposing pole. You can see some of that.
So they lay on the ground so
Yes.
that other people can stand on them and jump up and try and get the guy off the pole.
And then support players help to create distractions and supplement attacks. So there's all these things going on in this match.
And no alcohol is involved, right,
No
John?
alcohol is involved, my understanding of it, Paul, for the research I've done. Now, believe it or not, there is a lot of strategy in this game. And believe it or not,
I don't believe it.
There's
strategy.
There is strategy. You're trying to be able to work against your opponent, obviously, and do it in such a fashion so you can be able to, pull the pole down. But believe this. There are no videos of myself or Paul playing the sport in college. There's just not enough beer to get us.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably right about that, John. I'm sure you're right about that. Although I believe, I don't have a video or a photo, I believe I have a drawing of what that would look like. This is the winning team here running with their flag. So they captured the flag. So those that can still walk.
Yes.
Running down the field. But here I have a drawing of what it would look like if John or I were playing.
I love it.
You know what? Unfortunately, that's pretty accurate, Paul.
I believe that for those of you who can't see it, and really you need to see this. It's a cartoon of a gentleman wearing shorts, pole dancing. So nothing offensive about it. But I will take it down because I know the lovely Donna is currently saying, please get that off the screen already. So
Oh boy.
So what was the sport again, John? Something?
It's called Bo Teoshi.
Teoshi. Okay.
Teoshi.
That sounds pretty Japanese. And you're right. We can't play it. I don't think we could convince any Americans to
and it will be in the Olympics in 4 years.
We're gonna have to go into other areas, Paul.
What we could do a TV show. We ought to do a TV show where we go around the world and visit the tournament. I think that would be a lot of fun. But right now, what we need to do is a TV show about what's coming up next, and that's what everybody is waiting for. And that is Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news.
Absolutely.
We play Bluff the Co-host every week at the end of the show. The rules are simple, kind of like as John would say. But no scrums or no pulling down the pole is involved. Instead, I have 3 stories, very similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon, with one difference, and that is that some of them may be true, but some may be bluffs. 1, 2, or 3. It's up to Karen, John, and you playing at home to determine which ones are real and which ones are a bluff. We allow gambling, we allow betting, so place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzers and let's get right
ready.
To number 1. Okay. As the old saying goes, you can't fight City Hall, But residents of a small town in North Carolina found out that the weather can fight City Hall. After years of petitioning their mayor after mayor to remove a no U-turn sign on the main street through town, an option that did nothing but cause traffic jams and accidents on that road, the sign was blown down and carried off by a recent tornado. The small town had no replacement for the no U-turn sign in storage, so the road went signless for a few days. Turns out there were no traffic jams or accidents the entire time. While the tornado could not attend the town meeting, residents representing it did and convinced the mayor to remove the sign permanently, which he did. In honor of the storm, a small sign with a picture of the twister has been erected instead. So, small town in North Carolina hated the no U-turn sign in the middle of downtown. A tornado blew it away. The mayor said, okay, I give up. I give in. And now they don't have the no U-turn sign anymore. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Sounds pretty damn real to me.
Okay, there you go. You can't get much more clearer than that, Karen.
Nope.
Karen says that's a true story. How about you, John?
I agree with Karen. I'm going to say it's real. I mean, I can see that. I mean, it kind of makes sense if there's less traffic jams and less accidents or whatever, and the traffic can flow more smoothly. Oh, I'm going to say it's a real story.
Okay, so it'd be like a modern version of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's check with the judges, and the judges say the Wizard of Oz is fiction, and so is that story. Did not happen.
We kind of got set up on that one, Karen. I think we got set up.
Yeah, I guess.
Nice easy story.
Oh, all right. Oh, stop your complaining, John, so we can get to the rest of the stories.
All right. Well, wait a minute. So did they put the sign back up then? Did they put the?
It's a fake, John. They didn't.
There's no sign. No town.
Oh my Lord.
There's no town. That's right. There's no twister. There's no nothing. There's no North Carolina. There's no United States. It's all a bluff. Okay, so
Okay.
Real. The score currently is 0-0. Let's get right to story number 2.
All right.
People of a certain age who remember commercials of a giant Kool-Aid pitcher bursting through a wall, but forgot how bad Kool-Aid really tasted, should avoid buying it today out of nostalgia. Why? The Food and Drug Administration reports that a new batch of Kool-Aid Tropical Punch flavor is packing an unexpected punch. For up to 24 hours after drinking it, it could cause you to fail a drug test due to a new artificial coloring chemical that mimics the signature of marijuana without the high. The bad batches are sold in giant containers at warehouse stores, and it appears people who drink a lot of tropical punch are also the ones taking and failing the most drug tests. Kraft, which makes Kool-Aid, is offering full refunds, but no assistance if you lose your job due to the Kool-Aid failing your drug test. What do you say, John? The Kool-Aid with a chemical in it that causes you to fail your drug test. Real or bluff? First question is, did you drink Kool-Aid?
Yes, I did. Oh, yeah, sure.
Did you like it?
Yeah, everyone, me and my brothers and my sister, oh, yeah, sure, we all drank Kool-Aid.
With enough sugar, everything tastes good.
Well, exactly.
Okay, so
I'm going to say it's a bluff.
John says it's a bluff. Oh,
yeah.
He was kind of hoping he was going to run out and get some of that Kool-Aid and get high on it, but John says it's a bluff. Okay, Karen, how about you? Real or bluff?
Well, I have a feeling that you really are trying to trick us today, and you've made up all these weird stories. So I'm going to agree with my buddy John DiNallo. It's a bluff.
John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. The judges say you're both right. That is a bluff.
Right.
I caught on to you.
Very good. Very good. Okay.
Oh, one time. Okay. All right. As we mentioned before, there's 3 stories.
Oh, okay.
So let's take a look at the scoreboard. The score is tied 1-1. Points in the round 3 are doubled. So we could have a tie. We could have a winner in this match here. Let's get right to it with story number 3. Proving that some cows will do anything to avoid becoming a hamburger. A cow in Brazil managed to escape from its pen at a slaughterhouse, run a few miles away, break into a water park, climb up the ramp of a water slide, and slide down safely into a pool, despite weighing more than the 3-person weight limit on the slide. Fortunately for the water park, no one was in the pool at the time, and the cow enjoyed splashing around in the water long enough for the park personnel to rope it and notify the slaughterhouse. Fortunately for the cow, a ranch owner heard the story, bought the cow, changed its name to Slide, and will let it live out its days in its own water pool on his ranch. The ranch has no slide, but it beats being a slider.
Oh,
So Karen and John, the cow that breaks out of the slaughterhouse, breaks into a water park, slides down the slide, and lives to tell the tale to his friends at his new ranch where he'll live and not be slaughtered. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
well, I want to think you're trying to bluff us, but I'm going to say it's real.
Karen says it's real. Would you pay to see that?
Oh, sure. Why not?
How much? I may have a video. If it's real or a bluff. Okay, Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
I'm going to say it's a bluff
Oh,
because
John says it's a
I don't
bluff.
understand
Oh,
how the cow gets into the park. I mean, how does he walk into it or whatever? Is there a fence around it? I just find it too far fetched. I'm going to say,
John can't imagine a cow breaking into a water park.
I'm saying
You need to get out more, John.
Hey, if the cow could jump over the moon, then the cow could jump
Oh,
over the fence.
Oh, there you go. That's how Karen came up with her answer that it's a real story. Okay, so
Yep.
Karen says it's a real story. John says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say the winner for this week is Karen. That's a real story.
oh my
Wow.
God.
I don't
Wow.
Google it, John. I'm not sure that there's a video, but it's a real story. It happened in a small town in Brazil. And
Wow.
yeah, broke in. Luckily, no one was trampled on. And they said that the cow actually kind of knew what it was doing because it went up a ramp and it knelt down as it went down the slide, probably smiling as a cow. If you could recognize what a cow looks like when it smiles. And I'm sure it left some cow patties behind. And on that
sure.
note, I believe we've reached the end of Bluff the Co-host and the end of What in the World for another week.
Yes, we
I
have.
want to thank everyone who is listening live, everyone who is listening to us in the future on the podcast platform of your choice, absolutely free. You can find out more about where you can hear us on newclevelandradio.net. Click on my name, and everything will be explained to you, including the mystery of life. Or you can Google us, and we're on YouTube as well. So you can take a look at all the great pictures that we've been talking about. And I do recommend to do that. For more information on some of those stories, please visit my my other website, mysteriousuniverse.net. Take a look at the stuff there. Today, let's see, Thanksgiving is next week. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we will be taking the week off to celebrate. I hope you all are able to do the same and have a happy Thanksgiving. Avoid the possum or anything that you can't figure out what it was in real life. Just eat the turkey, grab a leg.
Hey,
Yeah.
or the side dishes. They're pretty.
Or
they're-
some taters. Yeah, just
Yeah.
forget the possum, eat the taters. That's
You
my
got
rule.
it.
So anyways, I want to thank John DiNallo, my old friend. Good luck with your week next week, and we'll hear all about it when we come back. Karen as well, thank you so much. Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
We'll hear all about that when we get back. And to everyone else, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Be well, everybody.